We're here at Candle Creek Campground, Deschutes National Forest here in Central Oregon, along the banks of the beautiful Metolius River. Let's go check out the campsites. Okay, so Candle Creek Campground, end of the line as far as this Metolius River National Recreation Area. Gives you the advantage of being on the very edge of the entire zone. Let me pan over here. That is the trail that parallels Metolius River. You can hike in or you can drive in. Here is site 1. Got your parking. Again, I'll give you the lot lines. You got 10 across the way. There's only 10 sites total, so it's a pretty small campground. Here is your picnic table and fire pit. Got a pretty good distance, pretty well spaced out, so that's impressive. Probably the biggest thing against one is you do have the trail right over here, so you will have some people probably moseying on by. Here is picnic table, fire pit, really well spaced out. As far as your access to Metolius River, it's probably another ding against one is that, I mean, it's awesome. You're overlooking it, but you have all this brush between you and, wow, that's gorgeous, Metolius River. So National Wild and Scenic River. So not the best access point for one. Serviceable, works, not horrible, but certainly not the best one here. Spoiler, I've been here before, so I know once we get a little farther in, there will be a few that are more high quality, but we will wait till we get to those. Let's continue along. And we are coming up to numero dos here on our right. Look across, we got one over there just for bearings and privacy lines. Got nice parking. I like how the little posts gives you a good demarcation line of where to park. Okay, so here's 2. Picnic table, fire pit, standard. You got 1 right over there, so here's your lot lines. This one's already starting to get a little bit better access to our close trusty friend Metolius River. Still better to come later in the campground, but this is at least better views. Look at that. Got a bit of a whitewater rapid section. You can bring some Cabela's chairs over here and hang out. Not really a good river access point, keeping it real, all this brush. You could come down here. Looks like there is a side trail. Okay, so it looks like you can go straight down there and interact with the water, although it's not really that high quality of a shoreline access point, keeping it real. So 2 is serviceable. I will say one of my favorite things about an area like this is just the ambient sound of Metolius River rushing in the background. Gives a calm, soothing feeling. Okay, so let's continue on to the next one. Again, there's your lot lines 9. Here's your restroom straight ahead for bearings. A little bit of a section of the forest road between your next campsite. Look at how beautiful Deschutes National Forest is. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is a really beautiful area, and these campgrounds are top notch. I don't know how you could not fall in love with this Metolius River National Recreation Area. This is like a world-class fly fishing, river shoreline, camping zone. You could do a 13.5 mile hiking trail that circumnavigates both sides of the river, some bridge crossings and a fish hatchery, turquoise waterfalls. I mean, this is ridiculous. All right, so here is site 3. Here's your parking for lot lines. Let me just do a little scan. Oh, and hello. Got your restroom right there. So now we're getting into higher quality. Long distance between 3 and 2, so you don't even have to factor that in. Picnic table, fire pit. We come over here. So your views of Metolius River are only getting better as we're coming farther into the campground. I mean, look at that. You don't have the brush that 1 and 2 had, kind of blocking your access. I'm gonna come down here. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. You could bring your chairs down here and, I mean, hello. Sit here and just read and kind of enjoy the sense of the river rushing by. Beautiful sounds. Pretty epic. So, okay, 3 is legit. I got to give it up to 3. 3 is legend. Now you have the restroom right away. That could either be a plus or a minus depending on your perspective. It's a minus as far as privacy because other people will be coming to it, but it's a plus if you need access to it. you go to the restroom frequently, then having it right across the way is quite convenient. And let's continue along. Again, there's only 10 sites here, so we're 30% done. So here is the heart of the campground and the best part of it, frankly. 4, 5, 6, I think, is your premium zone, but we will go through all these and give each one its own fair shake. So here is 4. You got your parking with posts, picnic table, fire pit will scan around. 3 was a pretty good distance away. You got one over here, but well blocked by the trees. So you got your turnabout because this is the end of the campground for 5, 6, but let's look at 4. So again, 4. Picnic table, fire pit. I like that the fire pit is a little bit closer to the river. Allows you to situate your chairs so that you've got the fire and the river. Actually, that's really well done. Put your chairs straight ahead and then you actually can see the river from your fire pit. This is pretty legend, my friend. Look at that. You pan down. Look at that. You got your fire pit. And let's go take a look at Metolius River. Definitely pretty steep, so not really a ideal access point, but if you want like a eagle's nest, bird's eye, perch view, then here you go. And look at that right there. That's actually one of the money sections. Absolutely beautiful. Pan down. So if you're looking for just kind of a perfect background, picturesque river experience, then I don't know how you wouldn't fall in love with Candle Creek. This is a really high quality campground. Like, this is legend. I'm falling in love with this campground just for lot lines. So here's 4, there's 5. I mean, that is pretty darn good spacing in campground world, and pretty good obstructions with the trees as far as line of sight. So compliments to the crafters of Deschutes National Forest on this one. They did not take a let's jam pack in as many sites as possible mentality. They took more of a quality over quantity approach, which I definitely am one to appreciate. So thank you, Deschutes National Forest. So we're coming up to 5. Haven't gone to the sign yet, but that's the next one. So we're walking up here. Again, this is a roundabout. So you got 7 over there, 6 straight ahead, which I think is the best, but we'll do 5 first. Here's 5. So you park here, you got your fire pit and your picnic table. Legit and legit. So pretty darn impressive. You got 4 right there. That's not too bad. I mean, you can line of sight it based on where you situate your tent. You're not gonna have issues. That's a very long picnic table. Let me come down here. This is your overlook, again, of our close trusty friend, Metolius River, National Wild and Scenic River. So I'm gonna stop right here. Now you gotta be very careful, my friend. This is very steep. So if you're not paying attention, especially if you're drinking, then this can get dangerous real quick. But assuming proper safety protocols, this is absolute legend. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Beautiful section of Metolius River. And coming back to 5. This is right at the end of the turnabout. The next one straight across is 6. I think this one, number 5, with an unusually long picnic table, and the one straight ahead 6 are definitely the 2 best here. I thought 4 and 3 also were good. So here's your fire pit with the perspective of 6 just for your bearings. Again, nice long picnic table, beautiful trees. So in my humble opinion, number 5 that I'm walking away from is the second best here, but such a high quality one. I mean, it's premium on its own. It just so happens that 6 has got some other really exciting things going for it. So here's number 6, the end of the line. So what's cool about this is, let me show you first, big, nice driveway. You got 7 over there. What's cool about this is it's the end of the edge of Candle Creek Campground, and Candle Creek Campground is the edge campground of Metolius River Natural Recreation Area. So the edge of the edge, so that yields you're right up against actual like natural wild forest. There's nothing on the other side of you. So that gives you one full side is just proper Deschutes National Forest. Here's your picnic table, your fire pit, got a nice stump there to sit on or use as a table. Again, for bearings, there's 7 over there. Apparently occupied by a few birds. Let's go down here. Now this is the piece de resistance. This is what makes 6 so awesome. Not only is it on the edge of the edge, of this whole Metolius River National Recreation Area. But this is your own private shoreline access to a confluence with Metolius River. It's come down here. So what I would do, I would actually grab my chairs and carry them down here. It's a little steep, so you do have to watch your step, but it's nothing that most able-bodied people shouldn't easily be able to do. But I would bring my chairs down here and situate them right at this junction on the shoreline. Again, I'm gingerly watching my step. So right here, bring the chairs down and plop them right here on this grass. Presumably, maybe this is Candle Creek. That's the name of the campsite with Metolius River. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Look at that. You got a whitewater rapid section of Metolius River National Recreation Area and a National Wild and Scenic River right there, moseying on by. Beautiful sound, beautiful views, and you even have this creek confluence. I'm guessing, since this is called Candle Creek Campground, that this is probably Candle Creek. So you got the confluence of this nice relaxing water into raging and roaring Metolius River. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful, my friend. Epic. And then if you put your chairs right here, imagine you could literally sit right here. Give you the perspective, like I'm sitting down right here and I'm just looking. I turn my head. Well, hello there, Metolius River. Hello there, Whitewater Rapids. Hello, babbling gentle creek. Oh man, this is gorgeous. I'll walk back up to the campsite. Again, this is 6. So I view this as kind of your own backyard of Site 6. I do not view this as a community area because this is directly from your campsite. So I think this is clearly the domain of Campsite 6. I think Campsite 6 is the highest quality one here because of that back yard, which is your domain. So I think 6 is a hidden gem, arguably the best campsite in this entire 12 campground zone of Metolius River National Recreation Area, my humble opinion, because of that private access point. Again, you got 7 over there and 5 over there. So you got great lot lines, a lot of distance between your sites, big parking spot, and then down there you've got your own access, private access point. So I think 6 is legend, my friend. Again, I'm actually of the belief it's the best campsite out of the entire 12 campground zone of Metolius River National Recreation Area. So that's 6, and then I think 5 on there is 2nd, 4 is 3rd, and 3 is 4th. So this is obviously the edge of the campground, the turnaround spot. 6 is my favorite, 5 is my 2nd favorite. Kind of interesting though, on this inner loop, it is up against its own body of water. So what makes 6 straight ahead so special, it's a confluence of Metolius River and another body of water, presumably Candle Creek. That's why it's called this Candle Creek Campground. So even though Metolius River is on this side, so I do believe 5 and 6 are the best sites here, 6 first, 5 second. The inner loop is not so bad because it does at least have water on the other side. So here's site 7, again there's 6. Here's your picnic table, your fire pit on the other side of it. Let me pan back right in here just so you're seeing the bearings. So if you walk straight ahead there, it's a ways. You do have another creek-like, I think it's Candle Creek, body of water that is the confluence that makes 6 so special when it runs into Metolius River over there. So you do have water on that side. So although it's an inner relative to Metolius River, it does have its own body of water on the opposite side. It's just a little bit of a walk. So everything's relative. I'd still rather be at 6 or 5 or probably 4 or 3. I think all 4 of those are very high quality. And literally in that order, 6, 5, 4, 3. But to give it its due, this inner loop isn't just a normal inner loop where you're boxed out from the river like you would be at most campsites, or I'm sorry, campgrounds. It's actually got its own water access on the opposite side. So here's 8. You don't really have much of an indent, it's more of like a shoulder parking situation. So sign straight ahead for 8. Here's your picnic table, fire pit. You see straight ahead, you can see there's a drop-off, little gully. that's where the creek is. So come over here. It's a little bit of a walk, but that's kind of nice, the spaciousness. Again, I'll turn back around. Here's 8. Oh, there's the sun. Hello, sun. And come up here. I know this is kind of random. I'm like way out here, but just for bearings, worth kind of knowing. Yeah, coming over here, eventually you can see some white rips. You're getting to a body of water. So there is a body of water over here. It looks like there's a little footpath right here. So you do eventually get to Creekside from 8. You can see it's a little bit of a trek, but it's not a big deal. You can do that. So kind of interesting here at Candle Creek, because this inner loop actually does have its own water on the opposite side. So I guess technically there is no landlocked campsite here. Everything has got a shoreline. It's just that the opposite end, particularly 6543, it's got Metolius River, a little bit more impressive than a weaker creek that's a farther distance away. So Candle Creek's legit, gotta say. Okay, so here is campsite 9. You got a picnic table, fire pit, nice parking, give you your bearings. Do have 2 right across the way here. A little bit of obstruction with the trees, which is good. So 9 is an inner relative to Metolius River, which is behind me. I'm walking away from it, but it's not just a landlocked campsite. There's again the fire pit and picnic table, because the reason why it's called Candle Creek is because you do have a creek on the opposite side that's running confluence into Metolius. So coming over here, lo and behold, not as impressive as Metolius, not as epic, but nevertheless, some nice running water. So clearly you got a little access down there. You pan up, this nice rock. So this is legit. I mean, this is beautiful. It's called Candle Creek, so I haven't looked at the map, but I'm just going to assume this is Candle Creek, because that would make sense. So Candle Creek Campground is the confluence of Candle Creek and Metolius River. 6 being so special because that's exactly where the confluence point is, the backyard of it. But even these quote-unquote inner landlubber sites on the inside actually do have their own creek access on the opposite side, even though it's the opposite side of Metolius River. So that's important to note, that even the inner ones are actually pretty high quality just because of the creek. So maybe there's not a bad site here at Candle Creek. Here is site 10. Right when you drive into Candle Creek, there's one just for bearings across the way. Look at the sun. This is where people are hiking from if they're doing the shoreline loop. Site 1, across the campground road, site 10. Now normally you'd think, oh, it's on the wrong side of the river because the river's behind me. And that would normally be true. Normally it would just be an inner, but this campground happens to be a confluence of, I believe, Candle Creek and Metolius River, namesake for this Candle Creek Campground. So you've got your picnic table and fire pit. Looks like there happens to already be some really high quality pre-cut wood. But anyway, coming down here, look at this. You got to be extra careful because this is like super steep. I mean, look at that. That is like really steep. So if you got kiddos, that could be a deal breaker because it is kind of a dangerous zone. But you got a steep drop off into the river. You come around here. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So I just said river. I think it's creek. So you got this steep drop off into what I believe is Candle Creek, namesake for this campground. And look at that, straight down. Now I wouldn't go down this. I don't know if it's clear how steep that is. That is like a drop off. It's more of a cliff than a path. So you got to be extra careful if you're doing that. Adults only, I'd say. I wouldn't let a kiddo even try that personally. So here is site 10. You got your picnic table. You got your fire pit. You already happen to have some pre-cut wood. It's end of March 2025. I'm sure that will be used. And then probably the only problem is you got 9 right there. So atrocious privacy lines. For some reason, there's no breakage in the line of sight. Love that sun there. Maybe the ponderosis. There's one over there. That's pretty good privacy lines. But you are right up against the creek, presumably Candle Creek, namesake for the campground. So that's legit. I'm digging that. So you are standing over this body of water, and look down there. So that's pretty good. So 10's kind of an interesting one. Really high above a body of water, actually very dangerous. So I would, if you have kids, I wouldn't do 10, just deal breaker right away, because this is like an accident waiting to happen. So 10 I would not do for kids, but if you're adults, you're sturdy footed, then 10 could be good, but it's not on the river side, it's on the creek side, albeit beautiful. Very steep access, so kind of dangerous, and horrible lot lines to 9. So even though it's very cool, I probably wouldn't do this one. Final thoughts for Candle Creek Campground. I think this is one of the top 3, if not the best campground here in the Metolius River National Recreation area. There's about a dozen campgrounds. This is definitely one of the best, premium. I think the best site is site 6. I think it's actually maybe the best site in this entire area because it has a backyard, your own domain, which is a confluence of what I believe is Candle Creek, namesake for the campground, and Metolius River. Take your chairs down there and sit there and basically have your own little slice of heaven. So 6 is legit dream site, destination site. 5 and 4 are also very high quality. 3 is high quality. I think those are the top 4. What makes Candle Creek very interesting is because of that confluence point I talked about in the backyard of campsite 6, even the inner loops, like this one, aren't normal, landlocked inner loop sites. They actually are up against a second running body of water, a creek, presumably Candle Creek. So even 7, 8, 9, 10, which would normally be the Constellation Prize, the campsites of last resort, do have their own shoreline access. It's just not National Wild and Scenic Metolius River. So arguably not a bad site here at Candle Creek Campground. I'm pretty blown away. I definitely think this is a top 3, maybe arguably number 1. A little bit of a drive down to it, which actually is maybe a good thing once you're here for the privacy. It's at the very edge of Metolius River National Recreation Area. So when you're at campsite 6, you're on the edge site of the edge campground of a national recreation area. So you get the wild forest right up against your campsite. I gotta say, Candle Creek Campground, I am a huge fan.